Welcome, everyone. My name is Sam, and today I want to tell you something that might change your life. If you often forget names, words, or ideas, if you read something and then can't remember what you just read, if you walk into a room and forget why you came, then this story is made for you. Because today, you and I are going to learn how to remember everything. Not just for a day, not just for a week, but for life. And here's the beautiful part. As you learn how to remember, you will also learn real English, step by step, through simple and clear sentences that stay in your mind forever. So listen slowly, follow with your heart, and don't worry about understanding everything at once. Because the more you listen, the more your brain will remember. Now let's begin. I want you to imagine something. Your brain is not weak. It's just like a garden. When you plant seeds, they need care. You water them, give them sunlight, remove the weeds, and then one day they grow into flowers. Memory works the same way. If you just throw the seeds and walk away, nothing grows. But if you give attention, repeat, and connect feelings to what you learn, your brain begins to bloom. Every word you hear, every idea you think, becomes part of you. The truth is, you were never bad at remembering. You were just never taught how. And that changes today. Because today you'll learn the way of remembering everything easily, happily, and forever. So let's start with the first secret. You can't remember what you never noticed. Most people don't forget because their memory is weak. They forget because they never paid real attention. You can't remember a face if you never looked at it clearly. You can't remember a word if your mind was thinking about something else. Let me give you a simple example. One day I met a woman at a cafe. She said her name. "Hi, I'm Sarah." I smiled, said hello, and then my phone buzzed. I looked down, answered a message, and when I looked up again, my mind went blank. 2 minutes later, I couldn't remember her name. Why? Because I heard it, but I didn't focus on it. My brain never stored it. It just passed through like air. But the next time I met another woman, she said, "Hi, I'm Lily." This time I looked at her eyes and repeated, "Lily, nice to meet you." I imagined her name written on a small flower in my mind. I said it again while smiling. And guess what? The next time I saw her, the name came back instantly because I gave my attention. Your brain is like a door. Attention opens it. No attention, no entry. So from now on, every time you want to remember something, stop. Look at it carefully. Say it out loud. Repeat it slowly. Give it 5 seconds of full focus. Those 5 seconds can save you hours later. The next secret is even more powerful. Your brain doesn't remember words. It remembers pictures. If I say the word apple, what do you see in your mind? You don't see the letters A-P-P-L-E. You see a red fruit, maybe shiny, maybe with a leaf. That's how your brain works. It doesn't think in text, it thinks in images. So to remember anything, turn it into a picture. If you want to remember the name Rose, imagine a rose on the person's hair. If you want to remember the word mountain, imagine yourself climbing it. The more funny, big, or strange the picture, the better your brain will remember it. Because your brain loves stories, not lists. Let me show you how this works. If I tell you to remember these words, book, cup, dog, rain, shoes, you'll probably forget after a few minutes. But if I make it a story, your brain will remember it forever. Picture this. A book is drinking tea from a cup, while a dog dances in the rain wearing shoes. It's silly, but that's the point. The sillier, the stronger the memory. You see it, you laugh, and your brain says, "This is fun, let's keep it." That's how memory works. When something is emotional, strange, or funny, it stays. When something is boring or dry, it goes. So, from now on, don't just learn facts. Make pictures. Add color, sound, and emotion. If you want to learn English words, imagine them like movies in your mind. For example, the word happy. Don't just say happy. See yourself jumping, smiling, feeling the warm sun. The stronger the picture, the longer it stays. Now, let me tell you the next secret. Memory is not about one-time learning. It's about gentle repetition. Imagine you write a word in the sand. The waves come and wash it away. That's your brain after one-time learning. But if you write it again and again, deeper each time, soon it becomes a mark that never fades. That's called spaced repetition. It means review what you learn again and again, with time in between. Learn something today, review it tomorrow. Then after 3 days, then after 1 week, then after 2 weeks. Each time, your brain saves it deeper. You don't need to study all day, you just need to review smartly. For example, you learn the English word gratitude. You write it, you say it, you use it in a sentence. The next day, you use it again. A few days later, you tell your friend, "I feel gratitude today." A week later, you write a small story using it. Now you'll never forget it. Because your brain says, this keeps coming back. It must be important. This is how real memory is built, step by step, gently, naturally. And here's one more secret. When you connect emotion, memory becomes magic. Think of the most powerful moments in your life. You remember the day you laughed so hard you cried. You remember the time you were hurt or loved. But do you remember what you ate 3 days ago? Probably not. Because your brain doesn't save everything. It saves what has feeling. So when you learn something new, feel something with it. Smile, imagine, connect it to your life. If you learn the word hope, remember a moment you felt hope. If you learn about storm, think of the rain you saw last night. If you feel, you remember. That's the rule. Every strong memory is an emotional one, so bring feeling into your learning. Don't be a robot, be alive. Feel your words, feel your stories. Because memory is not just thinking, it is living. So now, before we move forward, remember this. You are not forgetful. You are simply untrained. Your memory is waiting to wake up, and once it wakes up, you will never forget again. You will remember faces, words, lessons, and dreams. And the more you remember, the more confident and peaceful you will feel. Because remembering is not just about facts, it's about trusting your mind again. Now take a deep breath and smile. You are doing great. So let's continue. You are still with me, right? Good. Because now we are going even deeper into how to remember everything. You already know that attention opens the door, pictures fill the room, and emotion locks the door forever. But now it's time to learn how to connect everything together through stories. Because your brain doesn't just remember pictures, it remembers movement, connection, and story. Think about your favorite movie. You still remember the scenes, the music, the faces, maybe even some dialogue. Why? Because it was not just information, it was emotion and connection. Your brain is a storyteller. It loves drama, surprise, and meaning. So if you want to remember a list, don't memorize the list. Turn it into a small, funny story. Let's try together. Suppose you need to remember 10 random words. Apple, hat, candle, mirror, fish, clock, tree, horse, shoe, and cloud. Now watch how a story can change everything. Imagine this. An apple falls from the sky and lands on a hat. The hat catches fire, so you grab a candle to blow it out, but the candle melts into a mirror. You look into the mirror and see a fish smiling at you. The fish jumps out and hits a clock which rings loudly. The clock falls on a tree. The tree starts running like a horse. The horse loses its shoe, and the shoe flies into the sky and becomes a cloud. Silly, right? But now close your eyes and say the story to yourself. You will remember every word in order. That's the magic of stories. They build a path that your brain can follow. They connect ideas with pictures and emotions. This is called the story method, and it's one of the oldest memory secrets in the world. Even ancient storytellers used it when books did not exist. They told long stories to remember history, wisdom, and knowledge. You can do the same today with anything: shopping lists, English vocabulary, facts, or study notes. Just build a small story for each one, because your brain doesn't forget what it understands, feels, and connects. Now, let's go to the next part. Even with all these tools, your brain still needs something very important: repetition. But not the boring kind. Not the kind where you read the same page 10 times in one day and feel nothing. I mean smart repetition, what we call spaced repetition. You learned it before, but let's go deeper. Imagine your brain is like wet cement. When you learn something new, it leaves a mark. But if you never come back to it, the wind and rain erase it. If you come back again and again, the mark becomes permanent. That's why you should review things with space in between. A few hours later, then a day later, then a few days later, then a week later. Each time you come back, the memory becomes stronger. This is how you beat forgetting. It's not about how much time you study, it's about how often you return. For example, let's say you learn the English word curious on day 1. You read it and say it out loud. Day 2, you make a sentence. I'm curious about the world. Day 4, you hear it in a YouTube video and smile. Day 7, you write a small story about a curious cat. Day 10, you teach your friend what it means. Now, the word lives in you forever, because your brain doesn't forget what it repeats with care. Speaking of teaching, here comes one of my favorite secrets. Teaching is remembering twice. When you teach something, you don't just use your memory, you strengthen it. You take the idea, organize it in your mind, and speak it out in your own words. That act builds strong memory paths. When you explain something to another person, your brain says, "This must be important." So if you really want to remember something, teach it. It doesn't matter if no one is listening. Teach yourself in the mirror, record your voice, explain it to a friend, share it online. The act of teaching is like carving the lesson into stone. I remember when I first learned the English word procrastinate. I read it in a book and it meant to delay doing something. I liked the word, but I knew I would forget it soon. So I told my friend, "Hey, do you know the word procrastinate? It means when you delay what you need to do. I always procrastinate cleaning my room." We laughed. And that moment stayed with me forever, because I didn't just read the word. I lived it, spoke it, shared it. So remember, if you want to keep something in your mind forever, teach it as soon as possible. When you teach, you remember more deeply than you ever could by just reading.
And now we reach one of the most beautiful and powerful memory techniques ever created: the mind palace. Maybe you've heard of it before. It sounds like a dream, but it's real. A mind palace is a place inside your imagination where you store information like treasures. It works because your brain remembers places better than numbers or words. Think about it. You can still remember your childhood. You remember where the table was, what color the door was, where you used to hide your toys. That's how strong your spatial memory is. So, to use a mind palace, first pick a place you know very well. Your house, your school, your favorite cafe. Then walk through it in your mind. Picture each room. Now imagine putting one piece of information in each room. Let's say you want to remember the order of the planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Kang. In your living room, imagine a thermometer exploding with silver liquid. That's Mercury. In the kitchen, imagine a perfume bottle spraying pink clouds. That's Venus. In the bathroom, see a globe floating in the bathtub. That's Earth. In your bedroom, see red sand covering your bed. That's Mars. On the balcony, see a huge bouncing ball. That's Jupiter. On the stairs, imagine a golden ring. That's Saturn. In the hallway, see an ice cube shivering on a chair. That's Uranus. And finally, on the terrace, see a dark blue ocean. That's Neptune. Now, walk through your house in your mind, and you'll remember every planet in order. You don't need to memorize words anymore. You can walk through your memory like walking through your home. Key. That is the power of your imagination. Once you learn to use these steps together: attention, pictures, emotion, repetition, teaching, and mind palace, your memory becomes unstoppable. You start to remember everything naturally and joyfully. You start to feel like your brain is your friend again. So now take a deep breath and smile. You are no longer forgetful. You are becoming mindful. You are training your brain to remember like never before. And you are learning English through the most natural way: stories, pictures, emotion, and repetition. That's how the human mind was always meant to learn. Let's keep going, my friend. You already know many ways to remember things now: attention, pictures, emotion, story, repetition, and the mind palace. But memory is not only about tricks, it's also about how you live. Your brain is not a machine that you can just switch on. It is alive, and it grows with what you give it: food, rest, peace, movement, and joy. So, if you want to remember everything, you must first take care of your brain like you take care of a garden. Imagine your brain as a small garden full of new seeds. Every new thing you learn is a seed. But if the soil is dry, the seed cannot grow. You need sunlight, water, and care. That sunlight is your rest. That water is your focus. That care is your healthy habits. When you sleep well, eat well, and stay calm, your memory becomes strong and alive. Sleep is the first secret. When you sleep, your brain cleans itself. It removes useless thoughts and keeps the important ones. It's like your brain's night shift while you rest. It works. Many people study for long hours but forget to sleep. They don't know that sleep is part of learning. If you read or watch something before bed, your brain will replay it while you dream. That's how you remember without trying. So, every night before you sleep, think of the things you want to remember. Say them softly to yourself. It can be a few English words, a lesson, or even your goals. You'll wake up surprised by how clear they feel. Sleep is your natural teacher. Never fight it. The second secret is movement. Your body and brain are connected. When you walk, dance, or stretch, your blood moves, and your brain wakes up. You don't need to sit for hours to study. Sometimes walking, while repeating words helps more than sitting still. I remember once when I was learning a list of new English phrases. I went outside and said them while walking. How are you? I'm fine. What's your name? My name is Ariel. I. The movement made it fun, and the fresh air made my mind open. Hank? When you move, your brain feels alive, and memories stick better. So, next time you want to remember something, don't just sit. Move your body. Walk and talk. Breathe deeply. Let your brain feel the rhythm of life. The third secret is food. Your brain needs good fuel to think and remember. Junk food makes it slow, but real food makes it shine. Eat fruits, nuts, vegetables, and drink clean water. Water. Your brain loves omega-6, which you can get from fish or seeds. It also loves dark chocolate in small amounts. Yes, really. It helps your mood and memory. When your body is healthy, your brain feels light. And when your brain feels light, remembering becomes easy. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful habits, writing. Writing is like drawing on your memory. When you write something, your brain uses many parts: vision, touch, and language. That's why people who write remember better than those who only read. Try to keep a small notebook for your memory. Write what you learn each day. It doesn't have to be long, just small notes. For example, write 3 new words, 1 idea, 1 quote, or 1 thing you learned. Then, when you write again the next day, your memory repeats it naturally. Writing is your second memory outside your brain. Also, never forget the power of review. At the end of the day, before sleeping, sit quietly for minutes and ask yourself, what did I learn today? Your brain will search for answers. It might show you a face, a sentence, or a sound. Snagged. That is your mind replaying the day. If you do this every night, your brain will start organizing memories automatically. You will begin to notice how much you actually learn every day, and you will start to feel proud, not forgetful. Cow. Another thing you must understand is the power of calmness. Stress is like noise in your brain. When you are stressed, your brain cannot record properly. It's like trying to write on moving paper. So, before you study or memorize, take a deep breath, close your eyes, smile a little. Tell your brain, I am calm. I am ready. Your memory works best when you are peaceful. Many students make the mistake of studying with fear. They think, I must remember this or I will fail. That thought blocks the memory. Instead, study with curiosity. Say to yourself, this is interesting. I want to understand this. Your brain listens to your feelings. It learns what you love, not what you fear. So, turn your study time into a calm and joyful time. Listen to soft music. Sit comfortably and learn like you are exploring a secret world. And here's another important truth. The more senses you use, the stronger your memory becomes. Don't just read with your eyes. Read aloud, write it down, draw it, act it out. Sing it if you can. If you're learning English, don't just look at the words. Say them, hear them, and imagine them. For example, if you learn the word rain, imagine rain falling, hear the sound, see the drops, feel it on your skin. That's how your brain remembers for life. The more senses you connect, the deeper the memory goes. Finally, always reward yourself when you remember something. Smile, celebrate. Say, yes, I remembered that. That small happiness tells your brain, this is good. Do it again. Reward builds habit, and habit builds memory. So don't be angry when you forget. Just try again. Every time you remember, celebrate. Every time you forget, smile and repeat. That's how learning becomes a joy. So remember this. Your brain is not broken. It's beautiful. It just needs care, rest, movement, and love. You are not bad at remembering. You just never learned how to remember before. But now you know the secrets. You know how to turn knowledge into memory and memory into wisdom. Let's keep going, my friend. You've already learned that remembering is not about force. It's about connection, peace, and play. Yes, play. Because now we will turn remembering into a daily game. When you make learning fun, your brain opens up like a flower in sunlight. It starts to collect moments without trying. So, how do we make memory a game? It's simple. You give your brain challenges, rewards, and surprises. For example, when you wake up, play a small game with yourself. Try to remember 3 things you learned yesterday. Say them aloud. Maybe it's a new English word, a quote, or a fact about the world. The moment you remember, smile. That's your brain winning. Every time you do that, you are teaching your mind that remembering is not work, it's joy. Another fun game is the memory hunt. Pick a random place in your home. Then think of everything in that room without looking. What color are the walls? How many books are there? What's on the table? Then go and check. You'll be surprised how many details you missed. But don't feel bad. Just play again tomorrow with another room. This simple game makes your attention sharper. And remember, attention is the first key to memory. The more you notice, the more you can remember. You can also play with people. Ask a friend to tell you 5 words, then make a short story using those words. Try to repeat the story after a few minutes, or make it funny and tell it back to your friend. Laughter helps you remember even more because when you laugh, your brain releases chemicals that make memories stronger. This is why people remember happy moments for years. Emotion is memory's best friend. And speaking of emotion, let's talk about how to link memory with feelings. Most people think memory is only in the brain, but it's also in the heart. You remember what you feel. Think of your first friend, your first teacher, or your favorite song. You remember not just because of the facts, but because of the feeling. So when you learn something new, try to connect it with emotion. For example, if you learn the English word hope, don't just read it. Feel it. Remember a time when you hoped for something, or imagine a sunrise after a dark night. The moment you feel it, the word becomes alive. It stays in your heart, not just in your head. Here's another exercise you can try. When you study something, close your eyes and take a slow breath. Ask yourself, how does this make me feel? If you can find a feeling, even a small one, your memory becomes deeper. It can be curiosity, happiness, surprise, or even sadness. Every emotion adds color to your memory. The more colors you have, the more beautiful your mind becomes. Now, let's talk about how to remember things for years. The secret is to build memory paths that you walk again and again, slowly, over time. Imagine a path in a forest. The more you walk on it, the clearer it becomes. If you stop walking, it disappears under the grass. That's how memory works. You must walk your memory paths again and again, but not too often, not too little. Just enough. Once a week, once a month, once every few months. That's what we call long-term review. You can even make it part of your life. For example, on Sundays, review everything you learned during the week. Or once a month, open your notebook and read your old notes. You will smile, because you'll realize you remember most of it. And what you forget, you'll remember again easily, because your brain has already built the road. King. You can also use memory maps. A memory map is like a small drawing that connects all your ideas together. Instead of writing a list, draw it as a picture. Let's say you want to remember things about the word water. In the center, write water. Then draw lines to connect it to rain, river, ocean, bottle, and drink. Each one can connect to more ideas. When you look at your map later, everything will come back to you because your brain doesn't like straight lines. It likes pictures and branches. That's why trees, not lists, make stronger memories. And now we come to another truth. The more you use your memory, the stronger it gets. Many people say, I have a bad memory. But they don't use it. Memory is like a muscle. If you don't move it, it gets weak. If you use it, it grows. Try to remember small things every day. A phone number, a quote, a face, a short story. Don't always check your phone. Let your brain work. When you forget something, don't panic. Just wait. Your brain is searching. Give it a few seconds, and suddenly the answer will appear. That's your memory waking up. It loves to be used. Another great habit is to mix old and new knowledge. When you learn something new, connect it with something you already know. That bridge helps you remember longer. For example, if you learn the English word journey, connect it with your own travel memory. Say, my journey to school was long. That connection builds a strong bridge in your brain. The more bridges you make, the easier it becomes to remember everything. Also, make your memory active, not passive. Don't just read, ask questions. Say, why is this important? How can I use this? When your brain answers, it builds deeper meaning. You can even talk to yourself while learning. Say things like, okay, I understand this part, or let's see if I can remember that. Talking aloud activates more parts of your brain, and it helps you focus longer. Ek. Finally, one of the most beautiful ways to strengthen your memory is gratitude. When you are thankful, your brain feels peace. Gratitude opens your heart and slows down the noise in your mind. Each night before you sleep, think of 3 things you are thankful for. It can be small: your food, your home, your friend, or even your memory itself. Say, I am thankful that I can learn. I am thankful that I can remember. That feeling of peace tells your brain this moment matters. And when a moment matters, your brain keeps it forever. Ok? So now you can see that remembering is not hard. It is natural. You don't need to fight your brain. You just need to guide it, love it, and play with it. You can remember everything you want if you give it meaning, care, and time. Let's continue. My friend, you've come so far. You already know that remembering is not about power. It's about peace, play, and purpose. But now, let's make it part of your real life. Let's turn everything you've learned into a simple daily memory routine that you can follow every day without stress. Because when you practice a little every day, your brain becomes your partner. It starts to remember naturally without effort. So here's how you can begin. When you wake up in the morning, give your brain a soft start. Don't rush to your phone or to the news. Just sit quietly for 1 minute. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what can I remember from yesterday? Let your mind show you pictures. Maybe a word you learned, a person you talked to, or a dream you had. That 1 small minute tells your brain, memory matters. Then pick one thing you want to remember today. Write it on paper or say it aloud. Ni Ford. It could be a new English phrase, a quote, or a goal like, I will remember 5 names today. That is your memory seed for the day. Then during the day, use that seed. Speak it. Think about it. Find connections. If it's an English word, use it in a sentence. If it's a person's name, say it kindly when you greet them. Your brain loves to repeat things naturally through life, not only through study. Fee would spay. That's why it's called living memory, because it grows while you live, not only when you sit and read. Now, let's talk about one of the most useful skills, remembering names and faces. Ma, Yuko. Many people forget names right after hearing them, and they feel bad. But the truth is, it's not your memory's fault. It's your attention's fault. When someone says their name, your brain is usually busy, thinking about what to say next. You don't really hear it. So, the first step is to slow down. When you meet someone new, look into their eyes and repeat their name in your mind at least once. For example, if they say, Hi, I'm Sarah, say softly to yourself, Sarah, nice to meet you. You can even repeat it aloud if it feels natural. Wang. That repetition sends a message to your brain. This name is important. Right. The second step is to connect the name with something visual or emotional. For example, if the person's name is Lily, imagine a flower on her shoulder. Mutt. If the name is John, imagine him standing near a big door, like a gate, because John sounds a little like door in some languages. If the name is Emma, picture her holding a big M in her hands. The picture doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be yours. Your brain will remember the image faster than the sound. Then, when you see the face again, the picture will remind you of the name. And for faces, use the focus on one detailed trick. Look for something unique. Maybe the shape of their eyebrows, the color of their eyes, their smile, or the sound of their voice. Notice it deeply. The more attention you give to one detail, the easier it is to remember the whole face. Your brain doesn't remember faces like photographs. It remembers feelings. So, if you can feel something kind or curious about the person, your memory will hold on to it. Here's a small practice you can try every day. When you walk in a crowd or watch a movie, pause and ask yourself, what was that person wearing? Or what did their face look like? Then check if you were right. Kenk. This simple game trains your brain to observe and remember faster. In a few weeks, you'll notice that faces and names start to stay with you naturally. Now let's talk about confidence. Many people think they have a bad memory, and that thought alone makes them forget more, because fear blocks memory. When you say, "I can't remember," your brain believes you and gives up. But when you say, "I will remember," your brain wakes up and starts searching. So, change the way you talk to yourself. Replace "I forget everything" with "I'm learning to remember better every day." That one small sentence changes your whole memory life. Confidence grows from success. Even in small steps, when you remember something, say it proudly. Tell yourself, "Yes, I did it." That joy creates energy in your brain. It becomes easier to remember next time. And when you forget, don't panic. Just smile and say, "My brain is thinking." Give it time. Forgetting is not the end. It's part of remembering. Every time you forget and try again, your brain builds a stronger path. So never feel weak when you forget. You are growing. Now, let's bring memory and English together. When you learn new English words, don't just memorize them, live them. Use all the tools we talked about. Turn them into stories, pictures, emotions, and daily habits. For example, let's say you learn the word adventure. Don't just say it once. Imagine yourself on an adventure, climbing a mountain, crossing a river, discovering something new. Say, "Today is an adventure." When you say the word with feeling, it becomes yours. You will never forget it again. You can also use the memory box method. Take a small box or notebook and write new words or facts on small cards. Every day, review a few old ones and add a few new ones. When you remember a card easily, move it to the back of the box. When you forget one, move it to the front. That way you always focus on what you need most. It's like a small gym for your brain. Another beautiful practice is to mix memory with music. Music has rhythm, and rhythm helps memory. If you turn your lessons into small songs or rhymes, your brain will remember them faster. Try singing vocabulary like a melody. Apple, banana, orange, pear. Fruits are everywhere. It sounds funny, but it works. Children learn like this, and their memory grows naturally because they learn with fun. You can do it too, no matter your age. And finally, one of the best ways to remember anything is to make it personal. Don't just learn for a test. Learn for yourself. Connect what you study to your life. If you learn an English phrase like, follow your dreams, ask yourself, what is my dream? If you learn kindness, think of a moment when someone was kind to you. King. When words touch your life, your memory never lets them go. So, to remember everything, you only need one rule. Make it meaningful. The more meaning you find, the less you forget. Your brain was made for stories, not for numbers. It remembers love, not lists. So give it stories, emotions, and joy. Then it will give you everything back perfectly remembered. Let's continue, my friend. You have come so far. And now we will go even deeper. Okay? You already know how to build strong memory habits. You know how to remember names, faces, and words. But there is something even more magical. The power of imagination. Memory and imagination are like two wings of the same bird. You cannot fly with only one. When you imagine, you create pictures. When you remember, you find those pictures again. So imagination is the door through which memory enters your mind. Think of your imagination like a movie screen inside your head. When you learn something new, don't just see the word. Project it like a movie. Let's say you learn the English word freedom. Don't just think of the letters. Imagine a bird flying high in the blue sky. Imagine the wind, the light, the open space. That picture becomes your memory. The stronger your imagination, the stronger your memory becomes. Every great learner uses imagination. Even if they don't realize it, they see pictures, not just words. You can practice this every day. Take any word or idea and make a movie in your mind. If you learn library, imagine walking into one. Smell the old books, feel the pages, hear the quiet sounds. If you learn celebration, imagine lights, music, and smiling faces. When your brain experiences the word through imagination, it stores it as a living memory. That's why stories are so powerful. They fill your imagination completely. Kang, you don't just hear a story, you live it. Now, let's talk about learning faster. Furcal. Many people think learning fast means studying for many hours, but real speed comes from smart review and emotional connection. The more meaning and emotion you add, the faster your brain understands. Let's say you are learning sure new English words. Don't try to memorize all at once. Instead, take one word, imagine it, feel it, use it, and then move to the next. It may seem slow, but your brain will remember them. Times faster because what stays in your heart stays in your mind. Another way to learn fast is by teaching yourself aloud. When you speak, you use memory, imagination, and emotion together. For example, if you read something, don't stay silent. Explain it out loud in simple words. Say, okay, this means, or I can use this. Like when you talk to yourself, you turn knowledge into speech. That act builds a deep memory. You are not just reading, you are living the idea. PUD. So, next time you learn something, talk it out like a teacher. That's how you train your brain to think faster and remember longer. Now let's learn how to keep your mind young and alive forever. Your brain is like a muscle, and it stays young when you keep using it in new ways. Try to learn something new every week. A song, a skill, a few new English words, quap to less, or even a small fact about the world. Woo. The moment you stop learning, your brain starts to slow down. But if you stay curious, your mind stays fresh. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be alive with curiosity. UK. You can also keep your mind young by changing small habits. Use your non-dominant hand to brush your teeth. Take a different route when walking. Try new foods. These small changes make your brain create new paths, and new paths mean new life. Your brain loves novelty, things that are new, unexpected, and interesting. That's why travel feels so alive. Wonk. When you see new things, your brain dances. But you don't have to go far. Yeah. You can create adventure anywhere. Even a new word or a new recipe is enough. And remember, creativity feeds memory. When you create something, a drawing, a story, a melody, your brain connects many parts together. Those connections keep your mind awake and strong. You can even mix creativity with learning. For example, if you are learning English, write a small story using the words you learned. Draw pictures to go with it, or record yourself speaking like a character. These creative actions make your memory shine. Now, let's talk about forgetting, because yes, forgetting is part of memory too. And many people are afraid of forgetting, but forgetting is not the enemy. It is your brain's way of cleaning space. When you forget, it doesn't mean you lost the memory forever. It's just sleeping. When you see the same thing again, it wakes up. So don't be afraid of forgetting. Instead, see it as a signal that it's time to review. Every time you review, the memory becomes stronger. You can even use forgetting to your advantage. Let some time pass between learning sessions. When you come back and try to remember, your brain works harder to find the information. That small struggle makes the memory stronger. It's like lifting a heavier weight. So, instead of trying to remember everything immediately, give your brain a chance to forget a little, then review, and it will stick forever. Yo. Another beautiful truth about memory is that it grows with kindness. Or when you are kind to yourself, your brain relaxes and learns better. When you are angry or afraid, your memory closes like a door. So treat yourself like a friend. If you forget something, don't say, "I'm stupid." Say, "It's okay, I'll try again." Your brain listens to your words. The more gently you speak to yourself, the more it wants to help you. You can also train your memory with small challenges. Try to memorize your grocery list without writing it. Try to remember the lyrics of a song. Try to recall what you ate yesterday or what clothes your friend was wearing. Friend, these small games keep your memory awake. It's not about being perfect, it's about staying aware. The more you notice life, the more life stays with you. And here's something amazing: gratitude improves memory. When you are thankful, your brain releases calm chemicals that help you focus. So each day, remember 3 things that made you smile. It could be something small: a kind word, a warm meal, a quiet moment. Write them down or say them aloud. Those memories will stay brighter and longer. Gratitude makes your brain feel safe, and a safe brain remembers better, kindly. Finally, remember that your brain is not separate from your heart. The best memories come from love. Love for learning, love for life, love for people. When you learn with love, nothing is forgotten. Every lesson becomes part of who you are. So keep your mind open and your heart soft. That's how you keep your memory alive forever.